कभी साइंटिफिक सेशन से लेके कभी एंटरटेनमेंट से, और लास्ट में मैम जमीला परवीन ने तो शाहरुख का दिल जीत लिया अपनी शायरी से। आई होप कि उसकी इंटरनल शायरी है तो आप इसकी आई मीन दिलो दिमाग से उजागर हो गई है। तो वी आर ऑल ब्लेस्ड विद ऑल द डायनेमिक टीम ऑफ all specialties. I should say, as a comprehensive care center, what is the latest, term for the management of hemophilia? So that is the reason that comprehensive care center, we are all party, we are all as a team for the hemophilia management. So I have been always saying this and will say this always, that hemophilia care is not one man's domain. It is not one department's domain. So all departments are equally responsible for the care. I cannot say that I am the, I have got a lot of praises from last day, from yesterday, from the last 2 days, but I really don't agree that I am the only person for these things. जो भी तारीफें होती हैं, जो भी होता है, whatever जो भी है, लेकिन मुझे दिल से ये है कि मैं खुद अकेला इसमें इन्वॉल्व नहीं हूँ। तो all praises go to the whole team. इसमें हमारा सारा टीम है, starting from the paramedical, from the nursing, from the lab, laboratory technicians, from the nursing orderlies, from the sweepers, and to the super specialty and specialists, like from the dental, from the ortho, from the pediatrics, from the general medicine, general surgery, gynae, and all the physiotherapy and psychiatry. Maybe I am missing some more, clinical hematology, and all are involved in a go, and my medical officers, all people are involved in this team, so that we are delivering a very good standard of care. What is because we say that prophylaxis in hemophilia is a global standard of care, which we are nowadays doing it. So there is my presentation. Who is taking care of this thing? IT. Who is IT? So I have very easy because he has given a lot of new molecules which have come up in the market. And Dr. Fahim also said that it is a unfortunate part that is not the name is blood loving, hemophilia. So actually in the era when it was diagnosed, so they were right at that very moment, that why they are blood loving, because no products were available, no upgradation of the sinus was available, and all the hemophilics were dependent on blood and blood products. So there was no factor there was no factors available, there was no third generation, extent of fourth generation, and non-factor. For the medical practitioners who are just dealing with my topic, as I am going to my topic as role of hemostatic lab. I also said that so you need to have the evidence, then you can treat. Without evidence, you cannot treat. Evidence is a laboratory investigation. So, as per the bleeding disorders are concerned, some things I have just discussed, that my biggest test is history. Biggest test in the hemophilia care, in the bleeding disorder. Not only hemophilia, in any bleeding disorder, the biggest test is your clinical history. I really agree with it always, that if you don't have a good history, you will not diagnose the bleeding disorder. Why? Because in history, what are the points you are supposed to, so what are the points in history you need to know, you want to ask to the patient while he comes with a bleeding disorder, or any patient while you are going for the surgical branch. WFH takes the theme for, because 17th April, you should know that is the World Hemophilia Day. It is celebrated every year on 17th April in the respect of Frank Schonville, Schonville's birthday, who was the founder of the World Federation of Hemophilia. In 1989, he laid the foundation of World Federation of Hemophilia, and it is his birthday, and that is why it is always celebrated on 17th April. And what is the theme behind celebration of every year for 17th April? Only is this that this is a rare bleeding disorder, so that because most of the doctors don't have any knowledge about the hemophilia and the bleeding disorder. That is the thing. That is why it is every year it is celebrated, so that to generate the awareness regarding the hemophilia, and to get together all the civil society, NGOs, patients, caregivers, the physicians, the paramedical, everybody, just to make aware about this disease, because it is a rare disease, no doubt about that. But one needs to know, because it's a life-threatening disease also. One needs to know about this thing, because anytime you will come across a bleeding disorder. Our physicians or dental surgeons or whatever the medical fraternity, they will come across with. That is why it is everywhere celebrated, and that is the reason from last 10 years the continuous CME programs are being generated, and mashallah, now the people are aware, now the people are not scared. Because previously, when the hemophilics was coming to the OPD or to the hospital, every doctor was scared. I mean, there was a sense of scare that once you touch the hemophilics, he will bleed to the death. So there was sort of sense of mental psyche in everything, because there was no awareness. There was none of their fault, but there was no. Now the awareness has been generated. The people, I mean, from last 10-12 years, we are dealing with hemophilia. So now major surgeries, minor surgeries are being done. I mean, there is no scare among our own. GMC and associated hospitals and dental hospitals. So they all are being many procedures are being done, minor surgeries as well as major surgeries. So that is the reason that this day was celebration. The main theme of this is that. So this is the theme of this year: equitable access to all. Everybody, despite of caste, creed, and religion, or age, or sex, whatever, everybody is equally has the right for access for hemophilia here, and one has to recognize more bleeding disorders. As Dr. Payman said, there are many bleeding disorders. This hemophilia is not only one, and we have to recognize each and every bleeding disorder. And when you recognize that, then you can take it accordingly for a particular. So hemophilia has been discussed, and it is a genetic disorder, extinct autosomal recessive. Females are carriers, males are affected mostly, and this is epidemiology. This is the 1 in 5,000 you can have one hemophilics male births, and 1 in 10,000 population you have one hemophilic. So means if our population is 1 crore, we are expecting 1,000 people in Kashmir. So similarly, it is still it has been said that only 20 to 25% people are diagnosed. 75% patients are yet undiagnosed. So what is the reason behind that? Reason is only unawareness and lack of labs, facilities to diagnose them. So that is the thing, that is the main theme of this day, to generate awareness among all physicians and all stakeholders, so that more people we are able to diagnose. You can just take the example, in 2012 we started the journey, and we had just 70 to 90 patients registered with us, and you will imagine that now we have 421 patients. So this is only because of awareness and setting up a calculation lab and diagnosing and treating the patients. So the graph is going up. So this is the genetics of hemophilia. So this is the India's scenario. So you can see India is the second largest home for hemophilics. So as per the population, we expect 1,25,000, but still 20-25,000 people are diagnosed in India. That means again 75% we are missing. 75-80% people we are missing. It is only because of lack of facilities of diagnosis and lack of awareness. They are the main two challenges which are there, and that is why every day the people are being there. So this I will give you the scenario in our state, what is there. So if we take a 90 lakh to 1 crore population, so we expect 900 to 1,000 as per the prevalence epidemiology, but we have only 421 patients. So means 60% still we are missing. 60% we are still missing, but we hope that in future the things are, awareness is being generated in patients, caregivers, doctors and everything, So more people are coming and more people we are getting recognized. So as per the current thing, the diagnosis of hemophilia, I was just discussing. So once your patient comes, you have to just recognize two types of bleed. One is superficial bleed and another is deep bleed. Only two things you have to see. So first thing is I have said history. I will just focus on the first history. What is the history? History you have to ask him. Patient comes, is he a bleeder or not? Means उसको bleed होता है कि नहीं होता? वो मतलब क्लिनिकली पता चलेगा कि इसको कितने वो patient को बोलेगा मुझे abscesses है या hematoma है, joint bleed है. So that is obviously he will tell मुझे होता है कितनी बार होता है. How frequently the bleed is there? It is when he when he do simple walking or strenuous exercise. At what sort of activity he gets bleed. So in that perspective, you will come to know what is the hemostasis in his blood. With a small trivial walking, he gets bleed. The manifestations are severe. By strenuous exercise, he gets a bleed. Then the severity is less. So by that way, that thing is their history. So this is the history. Whether bleeder or not, severe or mild, primary or secondary, inherited or acquired, autosomal dominant or autosomal recessive. The history I will just more focus. So to identify the bleeder, one needs to know frequency of bleeding. And if he has a history of surgery, you have to take the past history. If he has a past history of surgery without any transfusion, that means if your test is also prolonged, PTA, so you will not accept the test. Because if he had a history of surgery, he has never bled, he has not used blood or blood product during that surgery, means his hemostatic ability is okay, and maybe the test may be wrong. So that those are the things we have to seek from the history. Or you have to take the history from the family. Is any family member suffering from the bleeding disorder? So that will give you an overview that is an inherited bleeding disorder. So this is important thing. An abnormal coagulation parameter has no major diagnostic value if history is not supported. अब अगर आपकी history support नहीं कर रही है, history यही है कि मतलब इसको कोई bleed नहीं हो रहा है. यहाँ पे आजकल जो important thing है platelets का हम देते हैं. हमेशा एनालाइजर से मतलब हमारे सर्जन इसको प्लेटेट कम है 50,000 30,000 हमें एनालाइजर में आते हैं हमेशा 30,000 तो पेशेंट गेट्स पैनिक बट व्हेन आई आस्क देम दिस he has no gum bleed, he has no superficial bleed, he has no ecchymosis, he has no bruise. तो क्लिनिकली आपका उसको कुछ नहीं होता है, न प्रेस करने से ब्लीड होता है, न उसको ब्रूज है, न उसको सिंपल प्रिक करने से कुछ होता है. So I will not accept 30,000. So you don't have to accept the test. I mean clinically if he doesn't manifest with bleeding, even if your test is abnormal, don't accept the test. So आजकल क्या होता है 30,000 40,000. So that is obviously because our impedance पे होते हैं जो analyzers होते हैं. So we are in a colder region, we have giant platelets. So giant platelet हमारे platelet का size है 4 micron by 4 micrometer. तो जो हमारे giant platelets का size होता है that's almost about RBC like 7 micron. So that giant platelet is calculated as RBC. Machine doesn't know that this is RBC and this is WBC. That he sees according to size because our 3 cells WBC, RBC and platelets have different size. Like our platelet is 4 micron, our this RBC is 7 micron and WBC is 14 micron. So they have different sizes. That is why they segregate into 3 cells. So when the cell is bigger, it doesn't know that it is platelet or RBC, so it counts it in RBC. That is why your platelet count comes down. So similarly, my point of view is that if you are clinically he is not bleeding, there are no bruises, and even if your platelet count or your PT, ABTT is abnormal, don't accept the test. There can be error in the phlebotomy, there can be error in the analyzing part, there can be error in the post-analytic part. So that can be a lab error. So and kindly repeat that. So that is very important in this. Yes, from the same thing, you have to check why are the problems. I will just discuss why are the problems.
Usually you have to ask this platelet because nowadays we usually see platelet
very low.
Yeah, very low. And if you cross check it, suppose Kadri's lab is the best lab this time. Now Medicaid is there, Kadri's is there.
No, there is our lab is also there. We have 15 pathologists.
Yeah.
We just smear it with PB, PB.
Check it by manual thing.
Manual plate.
You say that manual is better than this.
Actually, in the setting of thrombocytopenia, you have to cross-check Don't
pelvis.
analyze.
And even if the patient is not bleeding, you don't have to worry.
Clinically, we take it.
Yes, history wise, if he is not bleeding.
You have some variables on CBC. That is MPV, mean calculated PLCR. PLCR, if there is a MPV is raised, you can say that we will explain this in general. It should be by analyzing. And you have to reconfirm it reference time. And when general platelets can be pathological, they can be sometimes normal function. But if patient, जैसे सर ने भी बोला, if patient has history of bleeding, so he can be in Bernard solution. So in that context, you have to go for palliative function analysis. Otherwise, if patient doesn't have any bleeding manifestation and he has general platelets, we can confirm by manual Kismet.
You can have like normal platelet count and still bleeding, like bleeding function disorder. In that case, you have to go for erythropoiesis.
So there are so many things. So the thing is that now the type of bleeds we have to recognize. So it is for the clinical practice. You have to see whether it is a superficial bleed or a deep bleed. Only two things you have to see. Superficial bleed means all, epistaxis, mucosal, gingival bleed, right? Ecchymosis, bruises, or any skin pain. So that is a superficial bleed. And deep bleeds are always, you have life-threatening bleeds like IC bleed, you have GI bleed, you have renal bleed, and you have joint bleed, and you have muscle bleed. So these are all deep bleeds. So whenever a patient comes with a deep bleed, don't think of that the defect is platelets. Don't think that the defect is because of normal bleed. So the superficial bleeds are always called as primary hemostatic defects, and deep bleeds are called as secondary hemostatic defects. So primary hemostatic defects are like superficial bleeds, like platelet. There can be a defect in platelet function or platelet quantity. There can be thrombocytopenia, or there can be functional defect, qualitative defect or quantitative. Or there can be defect in the von Willebrand, and Dr. Thieme has just elaborated the von Willebrand disease, type 1, type 2, and type 3. So these are all, superficial bleeds. We have to keep in mind that if there is superficial bleed, we have to think of only two things: go to platelet, go to von Willebrand, right? So it cannot be because of the factor disease. Then if it is a deep bleed, what I have mentioned, the deep bleed, go for the factor. So don't go directly for the factor, but think that it can be because of the factor deficiency. So these are the two bleeds.
Do we have this facility how to check the qualitative assessment of platelets?
No, qualitative we don't have. Qualitative we don't have function because we need platelet aggregometry for that, and we are trying hard for that. In the government setting, it takes a lot of things. We have JKMSL, and we are putting them the specifications and.
Usually in our department we have received a lot of times the patients, they come and see but once you open or we use registries and all that, still platelet count will be fine. But patient will still bleed. We have received a lot of patients like
Right.
that.
That can be a function. GT and
They
GS.
have gone outside state and then they say that you have some qualitative.
Right.
Let me know that outside state.
Right.
What should be our approach is, if patient has low normal platelet, it is normal, but it is low normal, and bleeding is disproportionate, we should suspect platelet function disorder. In that context, one method we can do is that manual method of platelet activation, that is non-bleeding. We can just make a smell and see whether they come close to each other. That's a crude method that is erroneous. Yeah, but platelet algometry is not
Yes.
that much costly. We should be able to.
We are trying very hard for that
Second
also.
thing is that we go for genetic assessment.
We are trying and-
Platelet functions are genetically different. So our approach in our setup is that we go for genetic gene amplification of all these which are responsible for platelet function. And you become the result there on. We have a lot of people who are platelet responders to Bernard solution, which are strategic. You don't need to go outside. We have some alternative assessment that is by genetic. Although not encouraged because genotype doesn't always correlate with the phenotype. Yeah, but if patient has bleeding, then we go for genetic assessment. We go for exosutency, cytositency, and we pick up a gene that is itself contributing to platelet function. You don't need to send this patient.
What's our exclusion? Why do we have to send these kind of patients? In the
You have you can send it to hematologist. Because they are genetically determined, primarily they come to us pediatric hospital and
I'll just
go for genetic testing. We outsource it. Because genetic testing is being done in India only for 3 levels. One is natural, and we
We have to have the clinical response of it, whether he is responding well or not. So So we don't have that, we have given factor enough and he is not responding, that doesn't mean that. So these are the things also we are very, we should have, and by their, monetary things, lot of money is being pumped into research and all. This I was discussing, these products are only things are coming, the scientists are, coagulation gas, procoagulation and decoagulation. So, nature has given us both things. Procoagulating factor, pathway, inhibitor, TP, that maintains our coagulation. So the drug was made against that. So that normally that is an anticoagulant. Obviously you can train.
And second
I mean,
thing is that
you can for them.
I want
You can train them for this thing because maybe it's an inconvenience for the patient to go to the lab. So if we have a in-house
if
there.
possible, better to send patient. Second thing, I want to just request to say that our coagulation technicians and staff should be very dedicated, which unfortunately is lacking on there, to be honest.
And also I have request for the administration that all coagulation technicians should not be transferred.
And in those patients who are
That is a very
otherwise
sensitive-
bleeding disorders. But I don't get much response from the staff, which I had
No,
to
we
go
are,
to some.
we are trying because the coagulation is a very
Because a
sensitive
person
method.
who does coagulation, he should
Nobody
know what
wants to
coagulation
put
is.
his mind because it is very sensitive. We are just trying to incorporate more technicians into the coagulation because it's a bit sensitive way that I understand. So we will try to have a backup of all sensitive for this technicians, train them, and also I request